Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking our time to be here today. We welcome you to our public hearing, which is titled Powering Agriculture with Solar Coins. My name is Ademola Eric Adeomi, and I am a member of RA365 NGO. The objective of RA365 is to organize stakeholders to drive food sustainability in rural African communities by providing solar energy. We have a solution that uses a cocktail of technologies that include artificial intelligence and machine learning models, Internet of Things, and blockchain to drive the process of powering farms and processing food. The reason why we are taking this task seriously is because there are many reasons why there is no electricity in African communities. These images are an example of underutilized and unavailability of electricity in rural Africa. Agriculture is the single most measurable industry for investment of funds because harvest is measurable. The gestation period for potatoes or tomatoes can be calculated, and you know when your maize will be harvested once you plant. Farm mechanization is impossible without adequate energy for processing and preservation of food items. A lot of African farmers are not able to preserve what they harvest, thereby, they don't produce in larger quantities. Lack of irrigation farming techniques hinder a lot of farmers in arid locations from having bountiful harvests. Small-scale farming is the order of the day in African countries today because they use hoe and cutlass. The most affected of this effect are women and children because they account for over 60% of the population and they are the most vulnerable. We have adopted collaboration instead of competition as a way of raising funds for solar systems which are bound by smart contracts. This idea is gaining momentum and domain experts are beginning to understand that that is the only way where you can guarantee investments by using blockchain to secure contracts and agreements in a collaborative fashion. Today, we will be discussing the combination of technologies I mentioned earlier and how they are interrelated. First of all, we used machine learning to identify locations that are economically viable. And the metrics we used was to determine places that are more than 15 kilometers away from the national electricity grid and places that had populations between 4 and 10,000. So we can know that there are economic and agricultural activities going on within those rural areas. Now, we are including the funding aspect, which is going to be secured by smart contracts. Shineni Tukura is a blockchain expert, and he will explain in details how the blockchain will work later on. But before then, I will invite Jacob Ankhammer who is an economic consultant in financial viability of renewable energy projects. He will discuss energy deficits in agricultural sector and the economic return prospects for solar coins in African countries. Thank you.
Thank you. As I am already introduced, I'm Jacob Ankama, and I would like to take you through the economic aspect of investing in solar energy and with specific focus on agricultural sector in developing country. And here, Africa is our main focus. If you look at the whole issue, it is clear from my preliminary assessment, or if you just go through financial feasibility study, everything indicates that there's a high uh, market for solar energy, and the target group of people who will be willing to accept this product are the farmers. I mean, peasant farmers. So if I argue from economic point of view, looking at the demand side of the economic model, everything indicates that there's a high readiness of people to accept solar energy, especially within the agricultural communities where there's always problem with post-harvest losses, crops, and agricultural products which are uh, hard processed by farmers go waste every year in Africa because they have inadequate or poor storage facilities. So, not to even talk much, what I can say is that if you look at the market trend or the market analysis of solar energy uh, and its related products, there's that potential readiness of farmers to accept the product. And I would like to throw light on the overview of energy need in Africa, the energy consumption deficit in Africa with respect to the agricultural sector. So if you look at electricity demand in Africa currently, there is a consumption deficit of about 700 terawatts in the whole of Africa. And uh, the existing source of power, energy power for the whole of Africa, the consumption deficit is very high within West African countries because the energy we have in Africa, economically, it is estimated that 70% of it is consumed by the northern and the southern part of Africa. So within the middle belt of Africa and the east and the west, there's a high rate of energy consumption deficit. So any investment tailored on or focused on boosting the energy sector of Central or Western Africa or Eastern Africa is going to be more profitable. So using Africa holistically as a case study, I'm making reference to International Energy Agency report of 2020. It is evidence in their report that 56% of the population in Africa have no access to electricity or any form of reliable power in order to to support their agricultural activities. So solar energy, if well invested in the agricultural sector of Africa, is going to be a profitable venture, an alternative source of energy for the people of Africa, especially if peasant farmers and some people who also invest in large scale farming corporations are deemed as the target group. Investors are going to make something good out of their investment. So I would like to also move on to the economic impact and the competitiveness of solar energy adoption. For every product you send to the market, if it is not monopolistic product, then you are going to face competition. So how do investors get convinced as to whether they will make something better out of investing in solar energy, especially in the agricultural sector? Yes, it is clear that the energy supply in Africa is mostly supported by the government, which is obvious due to institutional crisis or corruption. It's mostly not reliable, and there's a high rate of price volatility and fluctuations. Today, the price at the local level may be, say, €1 for 1 kilowatt. The next day it changes. The following day it changes. It keeps changing, and there's continuous power shortages and a whole lot of inconveniences. So it is going to be a good thing for investors to, take this opportunity to invest in the agricultural sector in Africa, because solar seems to be more reliable. And if I'm to compare it to the conventional electricity source we have in Africa, so not to talk much, I would say the competition is going to be advantageous to investors who channel their money into boosting solar products, which is going to likely, or if you look at the model of which my colleague will talk more about, the solar coin uh, program, which seeks to get rid of government manipulations in terms of pricing. So if consumers get convinced that, oh, if I purchase this quantity or capacity of kilowatt of power, solar power, and this is the equivalent I'm going to get, and I'm going to use it in my agricultural project or activity, they know that there's going to be a value for money, and it's not like they will buy the next day, government may not supply electricity and their money will go waste. So there's going to be that confidence and trust between suppliers of solar energy, the marketers of solar energy, and that of the users, in this case, the peasant farmers and people who live in rural communities in Africa. Uh, I would also like to talk about, well, there is that opportunity for investors to, have a free flow of their investment ideas to the various households in Africa without government manipulations or government interventions or corruption. One good thing, which is uh, an advantage to solar or people who like to invest in solar energy in Africa, is that Even if you look at the geopolitical system of Africa in relation to energy supply, the regional and international financial institutions such as African Development Bank and Climate Fund and the World Bank, even at worldwide. If you even look at a known institution like World Bank and also some, European Commission and foreign and private investors around the world are seeking to lower carbon emission. So the individual investors who may even wish to invest in uh, solar energy to support agricultural activities in Africa are going to get support from these multinational companies and international institutions like African Development Bank and World Bank. Climate funds in Europe and around the world. So they are going to get a support at large. So when it comes to any macro level manipulations, they are at a good competitive edge, unlike producers of this traditional or conventional electricity source we have in Africa, which are not reliable and not able to supply the expected energy needs of people living in Africa. So this is also to make solar to tell the audience and investors who may be listening to us that solar energy application in agricultural sector in Africa is feasible and people are going to adopt it. And there's, as an economist who have engaged in several projects in Africa and Europe, I can confidently say that even without in-depth feasibility study, if you look at the prospects, the benefit cost return on any investment in agricultural sector in Africa, especially investment that focus on energy, is going to yield high benefit cost returns, or there's going to be a high profit level for the investors. Okay, because why do I argue my point this way? Because if farmers are able to get energy to process their crops, animals, all the agricultural products, which to some extent are perishable and every year going waste, is going to add value to the agricultural product, which is going to make farmers, especially peasant farmers, better. It's going to add value to what they have, which is going to motivate them to increase their productivity at the macro level from individual farm households. So these people will be motivated to work harder and increase their productivity and eventually also increase the national productivity or the gross domestic product of these African countries who may patronize solar energy investment. So there's going to be abundance of food if solar is used to preserve food from going waste. And at the macro level, the revenues that may be added to the gross domestic product of each African state is going to be increased. So the whole country and the people are going to be okay. Food security will be well addressed and government revenue will also be increased. And this one, there's no need for me to tell anyone that it will eventually reduce the poverty level in Africa. So I have some few things to say as bullet point for my presentation. I'm not actually going in depth about the economic models. I just want to put forth layman, I mean, a literal picture of the economic aspect of this sort of investment. What I would say is that the market is readily available. Farmers are going to accept it because solar is going to solve a problem, and there's no going to be unreliability of price changes and government manipulations, especially when the solar coin, which will be the next presentation, comes in. And also, the whole thing is solar energy has a minimal rate of some. I'm not a natural scientist, but as an economist, I know that solar energy is more of renewable energy and the carbon emission is minimal. So around the world, international corporations and international institutions, these high and influential institutions are going to support projects like this. If not even to support, they are not going to condemn or sanction anyone who invests his or her money into solar energy.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
whole project is economically viable, and in terms of monetary and environmental policies, the investment is going to be a profitable one.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jacob. We'll ask you some questions about what the first step should be and corruption
Okay.
and solar coin after Shenini does his presentation. So you can just think about these issues of corruption and how the decentralized finance like blockchain will eliminate the corrupt practices you have elaborated earlier on. So we'll just go ahead and allow Shenini to to give his presentation if he is ready for it now.
Yeah, let's go. Can I share my screen? Okay. Can everybody see
Yes,
that?
but it is zoomed.
Yeah.
I think you need to um, okay.
Sorry, let me do that again. Okay. Is this better?
Yes, it's fine now.
Is this better? Okay. Okay, good. Hello, everybody, and nice to connect with this panel of interesting and intelligent people. My name is Shineni Tukura, and I'm a blockchain enthusiast, as I will tell everybody, because blockchain is something that evolves. One day you think you are the expert on something, the next day something new is coming out in blockchain. So I've been into blockchains and cryptocurrency and assets for the last 5 years. And so far, it has been a really interesting journey coming from that space, coming to see how it's applicable in different sectors and how this new technology is really disrupting things. Now, for this presentation, I would go in depth a little bit and explain blockchain. because a lot of people know about the blockchain, but a lot of people don't know the mechanisms working in the blockchain and make it so popular, make it so catchy, and also make it so secure. Now, for this project, the reason why I chose blockchain is because it saw it as a system that could actually facilitate its process. And so we say, why or what is the blockchain? Now, the basic idea is owned, controlled, or manipulated by a central actor. This is a very key foundation in blockchains and why they were established. Now, it's really a block, to be honest. When we say the word block and chain, the block is the digital information stored in a public database, which is a chain. Blockchains store kinds of information or three parts of information that are very vital and make them very unique to their security. Now, they store information about transactions like the date, the time, and the dollar amount, depending on your blockchain. Now, it also stores information about who is participating in these transactions and also information that distinguishes them from other blocks. Now, with this kind of system, you can see why people say, I want to interact with someone, I want to do it on the blockchain. It's basically a trustless system. Now, we break it down further, going into smart contracts. And smart contracts are stored on the blockchain. What is a smart contract, basically? It's a protocol that's intended to digitally facilitate, verify, or enforce negotiations or a contract. So it's the middleman that just comes into play and doesn't have any stake involved, but they are going to enforce the contract and make sure that both parties are actually satisfied. Some key aspects or properties of a smart contract are autonomy, decentralization, and auto efficiency. Now, these are the parts that make a smart contract very attractable, make it very secure. At its autonomy feature, after a smart contract launches, the person who was the initiator of the contract does not have to participate in the contract. And because it's a decentralized system, it doesn't require the presence of intermediaries in signing a deal. And because they collect money, realize transactions, and distribute themselves, they're auto-sufficient. They can pretty work on their own once they are set in motion. Now, what is also a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual asset that's secured by cryptography and makes it nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. And a cryptocurrency allows a payment system, something like a token or a virtual token, as we say, enter into a ledger which is uncorruptible, built on the blockchain. So I hope I've taken you through the journey to see how the blockchain, smart contracts, and cryptocurrencies actually work to make a very secure platform. Now, cryptocurrencies also work with a trustless, immutable, and decentralized system because it was designed in a way that nobody has to trust anybody in order for the network to function. Each part of the ecosystem validates what the other parts are telling it without needing the trust of anybody. It's also immutable. You need private keys to actually move funds. And it's built to be fault tolerant, attack resistant, and also collusion resistant. Now, this system actually makes what we are trying to do on the solar coin project very viable. We want to find a way that you can get your farmers connected with your investors, and you don't even want to be the one that sets the full parameters. Once the contract is set, nobody can actually dupe anybody. No one can change the system after it has been set. That is the beauty of smart contract and the blockchain. Now, bringing the cryptocurrency of Solar Coin into this provides further authenticity. It makes sure that this medium of exchange, which is immutable, is going between the farmers and the investors. I mean, there's nothing as beautiful and as seamless as a well-done transaction where nobody has any quarrels after that. And the blockchain with smart contracts offers that. Now, why are we also looking at crowdfunding? Because it brings in a more traditional essence than the traditional way of raising funds, I might say. It also helps you build traction, your social proof and validation. And one of the best parts of crowdfunding is it doubles as marketing and media exposure. One of the reasons why having this dialogue is because of crowdfunding. early adopters and loyal advocates get to share in your idea. They get to validate your idea. And why are we using the blockchain for crowdfunding? Because it makes this process seamless, it makes this process easy, it makes it transparent. And because the blockchain is immutable, it cannot be reconfigured for one person's or an individual's purposes. It makes it the go-to system when you want a decentralized, authentic process. Now, I hope I've been able to tie in the way solar coins are working with smart contracts that we put in the blockchain and make sure that the ecosystem is effective and does what it's supposed to do without interference, without collusion from a third party factor, making sure that the goals are achieved and they are attained within this short time. I would say this is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for the time and for listening.
Thank you, Shinini, for your wonderful presentation. We'll go back to Jacob to please tell us what he thinks about corruption and how this process can eliminate it from the political point of view. Because Shenini has talked about the technical aspect, but now we want to go further to know what are the first steps we need to take. So we have a couple of people who are watching, and what next can we do, and how can corruption be eliminated from the political point of view with this new system we are building?
Okay, thank you. So I'll argue from economic point of view, not just politically. You know, for sale of products, it moves from the producer to the consumer. So the chain, or I mean, the supply chain is from the producer to the consumer. And governments are not evil, or political institutions or the governance of country, governance of country who make sure, I mean, this that marketing of product in every economy goes on well are not evil. They are there to ensure that proper thing is done. But as human as we are, you know, we are, economists will say, we are insatiable human beings. We all seek to optimize our utility or our happiness or consumption. So people become selfish when you put them in position to regulate marketing of product or distribution of resource or allocation of product. So this is where corruption comes in. And Africa, you know, the major problem is how to allocate resources to where they are mostly needed. So what I'll say is that if you look at the supply chain, it's the whole system. If you look, if you really go into what my brother presented on solar energy Bitcoin, it's remove all middlemen from the chain. So if someone wants to purchase solar energy, that sort of middleman, whether it being a form of government agency, political agent, or whoever may want to come in and increase price of the product, will not be possible. And it is well explained by uh, the second presenter. So, I mean, corruption may come in when someone is able to find himself in between the producer and the consumer. which is likely not possible for the case of this solar coin uh, program. And moreover, because it involves money, government use tools to, we call it monetary policies and fiscal policies. In maybe taxation, government may come in and tell you, don't supply this quantity of goods, we don't need this at this time in our country. Or government may not have any objective uh, reason to get rid of the product from the system, or whether to increase price or lower price. It will be really hard thing for a corrupt individual politician, or even a whole country politicians, to manipulate the system of the supply chain of solar energy, especially if you look at how the solar coin work. So I don't know if I'm able to convince people regarding this question, but if you have something to say, I'm ready to go
Yeah.
more in about it.
Um, you have answered the question. Then I have another question for Shinini. Can you please explain further how crowdfunding can work, especially for early adopters? I have had conversations with a couple of people who have spoke about a lot of funds that are available in the Gulf countries that need to be invested, and they would like such a similar system that can be guaranteed of immutability. Secondly, I want to know, or we want to know um, how the value can either rise or fall, because the idea is, aside funding it from the crowd, we also want to know if it is possible for the value of the solar coin to rise and fall. And if it will, what are the factors that might determine what the value of one solar coin is? And how can we keep it increasing? So at the end of the day, it will be more of having a solar coin is going to be sought after.
Okay. So your first question was how are we crowdfunding, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. So how and why as well? Because crowdfunding, as I showed before, the reason why people really go for crowdfunding is because you have a chance to dialogue with your audience, your early adopters, or your potential users before your product even comes out. So a lot of people feel that when you take time to do that, they would actually contribute to your product. And that eventually leads to when your ecosystem is up and running, if you have a lot of early adopters. So in answering your first question, how we are going to fundraise with the blockchain is that it provides a very secure system for investment. So you have already spoken to the people and you have guaranteed them that this is what you want to do with the funds. This is what you want to do with the project. How do they securely send you their funds and also make sure that you are going to work on that? Now that is how ICOs came out, or IEOs came out, because you actually have to create a system where people give you some of the most popular cryptocurrencies in return for your own cryptocurrency, as which they hold as a stake of value for return of their investment. So that's basically how that is going to be done. To answer your second question, which is what would determine the viability of solar coin, what would make it go up or make it go down? Just like any cryptocurrency, it is going to be affected by the natural forces of demand and supply, as it's supposed to be. So these forces are like, if you have people on your platform, if you have users that make use of your ecosystem, your coin is going to go up. Your coin is going to go up in value. When you don't have users, when you don't have people that use your coin, use your facilities or your ecosystem, your coin is going to drop in value. So cryptocurrencies that are structured to platforms or systems just like this, they grow as the system grows. So Solar Coin is going to grow based on the number of users, based on the number of people who store it as a coin of value, and based on the number of people who actually adopt and use the platform.
Good. That's good.
So I think
Sorry, you
you're
want
muted.
to add something or?
Yeah, Jacob, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it's just like he said, it's determined by the forces of demand and supply. When the demand is greater than the supply in the system, then the price will go up. And this, I don't have empirical evidence, but I would like to reflect on that and
Okay.
later make my analysis with data so that I can be confident to say much about it. That when I would like to go deep into how exchange rates may influence the price, and I know it's if there's going to be any influence, it will be minimal. Yeah.
Okay. So, are you going to advise such a system to use the dollar or the euro as a benchmark for exchange initially?
Yes. The system had to use three major currencies: the euro, dollar, and yen. I mean Chinese
Yen. Okay.
currency. Yeah,
Okay.
because products are if you're coming out with a product, there's going to be politics of its adoption. So because the product is going to compete with existing products we have in the system, if it is Africa or Ghana or even in Europe, they have a conventional source of energy. So if you are coming out with a new product where individuals are going to choose between these products, if you even make your product affordable and reliable, still, there's going to be that kind of banter between the adopters and regulators of energy in the economy, because economy is not like the air we breathe, that wherever you stand you can just breathe in, breathe out. We have institutions that manage the economy. So for solar to be well established and become sustainable between countries or around the world, then all the economic giants, if I say economic giants, I mean the economic blocks of the world, their currencies have to be traded with the solar energy products. Because if you go to Asia, China has influence in the marketing chain in Asia, which is also a major source of global, markets. And Europe too is traditionally a big player when it comes to global marketing and trade. Then
Okay.
we consider Northern America with US dollar. So Africa, maybe in the long run, after the product is adopted and the usage is going well, then we, as economists, I also suggest that Africa, for Africa to be at advantageous end, or in order to not being taken advantage by geopolitical system like Asia and Europe may decide to take advantage of Africa because they are more of uh, customers or consumers. Then Africa had to also come out with a centralized or unified currency, which economically is really difficult, but economies are working around the clock to have a common currency. For what I know, there's an ongoing policies in West Africa to come up with a currency, common currency, and this one will bridge exchange rate and its related, deficiencies when it comes to value for products between countries.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is important to know that we are having, this is a work in progress. That's why we are having discussions, and we don't have a product yet, but we believe when we invite domain experts to discuss, it will spur, it will motivate us to work harder and to know in which direction to work. So these discussions will keep happening, and it will be shared with relevant individuals, and you might still be called upon in the future to come and talk further or come and implement the discussions that have been ongoing. Um, Marat, do you have anything to say or any question to ask?
Yes, I actually had a lot of questions in my mind. The thing is that, like, okay, Shanani told us about the crowdfunding using cryptocurrency, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as far as I understand, I'm not a big expert in this field of funding or like stakeholders or something like that. Crowdfunding means that some organization, like for example, RA 365 is like collecting the resources in order to provide further with the products, and the people, like the crowd, that's why it's called crowdfunding. Uh, they have kind of the prospect, like that the effort that they have put there will turn back, will
Yes.
pay back, right? Is that true? So okay. So what I wanted to say is that, okay, if we are talking about the crowdfunding, it means that, okay, no. First we want to provide the people with the product, with this solar panel system, with this energy system which can produce the
Yeah.
energy, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Is that true, Ademola? That is correct. Okay, so in order to provide the users with this system, we still need to
Yes.
buy the system somewhere to produce it, and to and those who produce this system, they will
Yes.
need
Yes.
money, not the cryptocurrency, but the dollars, euros, yens, or whatever, rubles. I don't know.
That's correct.
Depends on where we are buying it, right? So what I just don't get is that how can we transfer this this money, like how can we transfer this, how can we provide the producers of these systems with the money, where we will get it from the crowdfunding, right? Or
Yeah, I think this is
Yes.
for sharing.
Yeah. So let me just structure that out. So you have to have
Mhm.
basically a prototype or something that you want to build, and then you come for sessions like what we're having right now to show people that, okay, we are either building this, or this is our prototype, but this is our goal. So you now tell these people that, fine, we just need this amount of money to get a full working product, or to expand our market or expand our reach or even to get the products, as you say. So they donate in Bitcoin, Ether, Dash, whatever cryptocurrency they have, and then we convert it into fiat currency. That is the end currency of whoever is getting the equipment. So we give it to them either in dollars, yen, pound, whatever. So it goes through that process from the crowd giving you cryptocurrency, you converting it, and then getting the end products to fulfill the promise that you gave to the crowd.
Okay. Okay. So if I understand correctly, the crowdfunding like is, since it's based on the cryptocurrency, the crowdfunding is like paying this cryptocurrency, and then this cryptocurrency is then converted to the
Yeah,
money, which
I skipped that
is
one part. So in exchange for them giving you Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever, you are giving them solar coin. So you're going to peg solar coin at a certain amount to the dollar or to the euro, and then you say
1,000
fine.
euros per coin.
Okay, fine. So we say 1,000 euros per solar coin. Now you say you want 1,000 euros. You want to give us 1,000 euros for our crowdfunding. We give you one solar coin. Now we say that solar coin, based on our projections and everything we want to do, it's going to increase in value. You can always redeem the solar coin as the investor, or you can use it on the platform. So we are telling you that you are getting this now at a very cheap price, and it's going to increase in value based on what we want to do with our platform and our ecosystem.
And then 1,000 euros can get you 1 kilowatt of energy before installation.
Exactly.
That's the worth before installation. It's important to note that that price is before installation. So if 1,000 euros give 1 kilowatt of energy, then one solar coin is equivalent to 1 kilowatt of energy before installation. So that way it's easy to juxtapose the both for how much energy can be gotten per coin or per investment, depending on how you see it.
Okay.
okay.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Joseph, Jacob, you want to say something? Joseph,
Yes.
I'm coming to you too, so prepare your question.
Uh,
Jacob, please go ahead.
okay. If I heard him right, Marat, he said, where will be the source of money to the producers? Was that the initial question?
The initial question, in the big prospect, was that actually how can we what how we transfer these solar coins into the money which we can give to the producers of the equipment. That was the initial question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Shinini answered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joseph Itopa, do you have anything to contribute or ask?
Hello everyone. Great presentation from both presenters. It's actually it's awesome and very enlightening. Uh, my own question will have gone goes to the second presenter. I always find it difficult to pronounce the name.
Shinini.
Sorry about that.
Shinini
Okay,
Deborah.
I will try and practice it. Of course, I will try and get it through.
No
So
problem.
my question concerning this is that when we are trying to apply this solution, blockchain through renewable energy, how do you intend to handle the issue of security? When I say security, I mean in the aspect of people not thinking that okay, because people have this perception, especially in Nigeria, that okay, when it comes to blockchain, people they use it for all manner of spams. Will I call it spam or scamming? Sorry for the background noise, though. So, how do you intend to um, handle that during development, such that okay, we can convince users that okay, no, no one can scam you on our platform? Yeah, that's just my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Some of the things I talked about earlier, such as the smart contract and basically the blockchain. So, yeah, in Nigeria, we have some of the noise going around about blockchains, and it's usually not accurate because people, whenever they hear the blockchain, they always go to Bitcoin, is the default. Sometimes blockchain goes into their ear, but they still hear Bitcoin. So, the reason is because people knew the blockchain because of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is just a cryptocurrency that uses blockchain technology. So the technology that Bitcoin brought is what's the precious gemstone here, which is what everybody should be crazy about. And that is the security for the platform, meaning the blockchain itself houses a smart contract, which makes sure that, like where we say, no party can come and dupe or deceive the other person. You can't cheat the other person in this system. So I hope that answered questions on security of the platform, because basically the blockchain has not been cracked at this point. And because of the applications that are built on the blockchain, the smart contracts, the cryptocurrency, and crypto assets, they make everything secure and tidy and trustworthy as well. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think you did.
Great.
Okay, so
Yeah, Genuine, I
okay,
want to
go
I
ahead,
want
please.
to genuine something in
Yes.
respect of the question our fellow asked right now. I also read. I'm not the technical man behind this. I'm only interested more in the economic aspect. I'm also aware that from literature that at every point of the chain there's an encryption. Can you brief us on that?
Okay, so every block is encrypted, and what even makes the block special is that everybody contributes to that block at the same time, so it's getting full. So whenever that block gets full, it can only collect information from all the acceptable nodes. So we have what they call consensus. Whenever a blockchain, whoever has 51% consensus of a blockchain is in control of it. So
Um,
to get that 51% consension is where the security actually plays in, to make sure that no one person can come and turn it from one angle, which makes the blocks, individual blocks, more
yeah,
secure. So
yeah,
when this block of information of data is full and it has only collected information from the known, from the general consensus, it's blocked and stored. That is where it creates another block of data, which is now, and they all have to be created, or sorry, they all have to be connected, which is the link.
yeah.
So your link is there, your block is there, making sure that everything is secure, and all the data, which is your blockchain exactly. So, for
Yes.
instance, you have the Ethereum blockchain. It's over about, I think it's over 100 gigabytes now. If you want to download the full blockchain, it's about 100 gig. So that's, I think it's bigger than Bitcoin's blockchain, but you see that with that kind of data, it's pretty secure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Santiago, do you have anything to contribute to this discussion? If you are speaking, you need to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we come to a close.
Hello. No, I'm just listening to you. I was wondering if for the for the crowdfunding you need to contribute in cryptocurrency. I mean, you have to know how this technology works in order to make a donation.
Okay, so not donation per se, but contribution, collaborating, investment. So you see it as an investment instead of a donation because RE 365 is a non-profit organization, and we have learned over the years that instead of going around with both hands in our palms begging for funds, it's a smarter way to provide solutions for people as a way of raising funds. So yes, we are a non-profit and we are not non-governmental, but we also don't want to beg because you can't sustain an ecosystem by begging or relying solely on donations. Yes, donations can be received to help the idea, to build the idea, but funding, investment in solutions. So we have a couple of farmers who need solar coins to survive. They are currently practicing um, small scale farming, as you can see in the presentation, and they could do a whole lot more if they had energy for preservation and food processing. So an individual could just choose one farmer and say, okay, this farmer, I will provide 2 solar coins for the expansion of the processing and preservative capabilities of that farm. And then that donation or the investment rather of the 2 solar coins is something that matures, that grows, and it will be refunded back over a period of time. So if the farmer is into cabbage or potatoes, once the cabbage is harvested, it is fed back into the system, not in cash, but also as a solar coin, so that the idea can be propagated and for others to benefit from this scheme which we are talking about. So to wrap up, yes, donations are allowed, but our idea is to invest and be part of it and grow along with the system. I hope I answered your question, Santiago.
Yes, thank you.
Adding more to it is the NGO seeks to promote public education regarding solar energy and its positive effect on the environment. Yeah.
Okay, Raji Adekoke, thank you for being here. It seems you just joined. Um, if you need help with a recapping of what we have done, or you can watch the live video, or you can contribute or ask any question quickly before we round up. Okay, Raji, I assume you don't have anything to add. So thank you all for being part of this presentation. Special thanks to Sheneni and Jacob for all the hard work you have put in to be for agreeing to be a presenter and presenting and being part of this course. And to our 365 members, Joseph, Marat, Victor, Osaze, and our volunteers back home. We really appreciate your time and your commitment. And to Santiago, who decided to participate on short notice, we really appreciate you. And for our viewers who are on YouTube too watching, thank you for spending 1 hour with us this beautiful Sunday evening. We will bring the conversation to a close now, and I wish you a lovely Sunday evening.
Same. Goodbye. Had a nice time.
Thank you, guys. Goodbye. Have a nice evening.
Bye.